I want to reveal a secret that I never told anyone, not my family or friends, that I was struggling with eating disorder for some time. I'm proud of myself to overcome this and even saying it in public. And I'm proud of you to take this step to help yourself. This video is just my personal experience overcoming eating disorder. If you are struggling with ED, I strongly recommend seeking help from medical professional specialists in this field. I know how hard it can be telling your family and friends because we are afraid to be judged by them. This behavior might seem embarrassing. They might don't understand how eating disorder works, or simply tell you that there is nothing wrong with you and it's all in your head. But deep inside you, you know that there is something not correct, and that's why it's called a disorder. According to the World Health Organization, eating disorder have one of the highest mortality rate of any mental health condition. Don't think that you have to look like a skeleton to be in danger. Many of these people are in normal weight. As long as I remember, I was considered an overweight girl. I started gaining extra weight since I was 6 or 7. When I was a teenager, I reached my maximum weight, which was 92, and it was a painful experience. When I was 24, I decided to change my lifestyle, which I explain in another video in details in this channel. Everything was going very well and I was enjoying my new lifestyle. I was enjoying my new eating habits and my workout routine. And in 2 years, I lost 30 kilos. Everything seems fine, right? Some years later, I immigrated to another country as a student. Life circumstances became hard and I was barely managing to survive economically. And of course, there was no money for gym. Not just that, there was no money for any hobby or pleasure. The only pleasure was homemade food and cheap beer. I started drinking every night. For 1 year, I had at least 1 beer every night. And of course, alcohol made me more hungry. I started binging on whatever I had in the fridge. And of course, I didn't afford to buy healthiest options. That eating made me numb, like I could forget about real world and all my problems. Of course, I didn't want to lose what I worked hard years to achieve. I didn't want to gain. I had enough problems. I couldn't afford to gain weight as well. So I started purging immediately. I wouldn't do that every day, but some days per week. Even though I would feel worse after doing that, this cycle of binging and purging separated me from the real world for some time. Like the only thing I could think about was food. I didn't want anyone to know, and no one still knows as I'm recording this video, as I was too embarrassed to tell anyone, and I literally didn't afford therapy. But if you have someone who can help you, or if you access therapy or even free therapy, don't hesitate to ask for help. I felt like in that period of my life, I had no control over anything except my stomach and food, and that was the only pleasure. I would say pseudo pleasure, because binging and purging is not a real pleasure. If you are dealing with any kind of eating disorder, try to find out the source. Is it because you're stressed or anxious? Is it just a guilty pleasure ritual? Is it because your body image is distorted? Like drug addiction, everyone has their own story to start with. But it's important to find the trigger so you can reduce the trigger. Like in my case, when my life circumstances turned back to normal, it helped me a lot in getting rid of my eating disorder. Like when you are in survival mode, you barely think about your mental health. One of the best books I've ever read about eating disorder is Life Without It. It taught me to dissociate from urge of this habit. Imagine there is a manipulative, toxic person in your head telling you how fat are you and how you lack self-control. And that's why you need to starve yourself. Or in my case, he would tell me how miserable I was and it's okay to have this piece of pleasure, even though I knew I would feel worse after throwing my stomach up. What I'm trying to say is that that voice is not you. Imagine it's a third person or even a demon, that every time you listen to him, he gets stronger, and every time that you disobey, you get stronger. He may never disappear forever, but you can make him weak enough to not take control of your life. Don't buy foods that you mostly binge on. At the beginning, it acts like a trigger. Let's say if you binge on cookies, don't buy loads of cookies. Don't keep them at home. If you want to eat them, only buy as much as you want to eat. Or you might be someone who can binge on anything. If you have this habit, just change your environment the moment you want to do so. Whenever you feel the urge to binge, give it some time. Find something else to do. Take a shower, call a friend, go for a walk. If you distract yourself for some time, most probably you won't feel binging afterwards. As I said, it's important to find the underlying trigger point. I didn't know about support groups that time, but if you can join a support group, it can have a huge impact on your progress. Or if you have someone who you trust, message them whenever you feel doing it. You see, for some of us, it turns to a habit, and breaking habit requires effort. That's why maybe it's a great idea to ask for help. Imagine you want to binge or starve yourself. That demon inside your head wants to take control, and instead of surrendering, you ask for help. Now you have allies. For example, you realize that when you feel stressed, you are most likely to binge. If you are at home alone, it's harder to resist, but if you go for a walk, ideally with a friend, and you break the cycle once, you gain more power the next time. I want you to realize that it's natural to be scared at the beginning. That demon inside your head whispers that if you change, you're gonna be fat. That all therapists and nutritionists are lying and they want to make you fat. That no one knows your metabolism better than him, and he knows that you gain even by drinking water. It's all lies that demon tells you. In fact, you will be more bloated because of water retention and losing electrolytes. Your hairs might fall and your skin become worse and you ruin your teeth. The demon just want to take control for the cost of you being unhealthy and ugly. Read more about the damages that all type of eating disorder can cause. Sometimes we are so used to this demon that we can't imagine how destructive it can actually be. I didn't believe that I was fat, but I was looking for some sort of pleasure unconsciously, and at the same time I was scared of getting fat. I've seen people being underweight and starving themselves because they believe they're fat. If you are that type, understand what you see in the mirror is not real. Understand that your perception of reality is distorted and you might even need more help. Sometimes eating disorder is associated with some sort of perfectionism, that you need to stand in extreme side. You have to consider the thinness. The demon tries to deceive you that you are doing great starving yourself because you have more self-control and others don't have. I wasn't struggling with this type of disorder, but I've seen people starving themselves, not eating what their body needed the most, and being proud of themselves for self-control. And it's different from moderate caloric deficit that people follow in well-adjusted plan to lose weight. I'm talking about never-ending starvation, never-ending dissatisfaction, and never living a normal, happy life. Be patient, understand that relapse is normal. I told myself many times after I felt sick and disgusted that I won't do it again, but I did. It is not just how much willpower you have and how much you want to change. You need to understand your cycle, your trigger points. You need to get familiar with your demon and listen carefully to what he's whispering to your ear. Unknown is scary, but your demon is someone you got used to for a long period of time. You might never fully get rid of him, but as long as he loses his power on you, you can be free. And finally, read books about eating disorders and gain more knowledge. Watch YouTube videos and see people overcame this. Don't believe the demon when it's telling you that it all worked for other people, not for you. If you feel that you can never recover, know that you are not alone. Most people believe that they can't recover, but they can. Remember, recovery is a journey, and like every journey, it starts with first step and day one. If you have more experience, share it with me.